Can you create the perfect shining sphere from just dirt and water? The art form of Dorodango from Japan is in fact just that. An art form that was only popular with Japanese children, but was rejuvenated by a professor in the late 90s and brought back into the spotlight. On a base level, the steps of Dorodango are simple and not overly challenging to do. The supply list is short, and the time investment is also minimal as long as you know a few secrets to the art form. But let's tackle the supplies and get you what you need for the side quest really quick. All you're going to need is some dirt and clay. Sand is optional, you can add some if you want to. It may help during the polishing stages. Up next, you'll need a bag. This can be a Ziploc bag, a grocery bag, whatever you want to use. But this is basically to keep you from making a mess when you're mixing your soil and your water together in order to make a ball. And now next, you're going to need a jar with a slightly smaller mouth than the Dorodango size you wish to make. And this is for the smoothing of the surface of the Dorodango. You're going to use this to glide across the surface and smooth it out to a perfect sphere. Now next, you're going to need some water and some oil. I used olive oil. You can use different oils if you want to, but that's what I used in mine. A few household supplies you're also going to need, like bowls and plates and cleaning supplies for after you're finished, but nothing too crazy. But let's jump into making our Dorodango. The first thing you're going to do is collect your soil and then sift it out to get any additional sticks or rocks or anything out of it, and then add some of that clay that you had or some of that sand, and this is going to help the mixture and make polishing easier at a later stage. Next step is adding our different pieces into our bag. We're going to add our dirt, our clay, and some water, and this is where we're going to start mixing it in the bag, and then once it gets to a decent shape, we're going to pull it out and shape it with our hands. And so when you're shaping it with your hands, make sure to get a good sphere if you can, and then use a flat surface with a nice smooth surface to try and roll it out some more in order to give it the best chance of being a sphere as you can. And now next, we're going to have to let this dry overnight. Now it could take more than one day to dry, so make sure to keep that in mind when thinking about your timeline. The next day, you can start to shape your Dorodango. Now we're going to start doing this by dipping it in some water and then shape it and polish it using the mouth end of the jar. Now this could take a little bit of time, but just keep at it and try not to get frustrated with the process. Next up, once it gets to a decent sphere and you think it's a good shape, then we can start to enter the next stage. And now this step is going to be different in a way that we're going to wet the sphere still, then we're going to add a layer of fine clay on the outside. Now make sure to grind this up and make sure it's nice and fine to give you a decent coating on the outside. Our next step is to dip the jar in water and then polish the Dorodango on the surface of clay that we've added. Now we'll be repeating this process 2 or 3 times in order to fill in any spaces and try and make it as smooth as we can. Now after this, we're going to use the same methods without adding a fine layer of clay. And this is just dipping your jar in water and smoothing out the surface of your Dorodango. You're going to do this 3 or 4 more times, and this is to really help polish it and get it to that final stage. Once you have what you feel is a good spot, you can then shine it up with a fine cloth and get it to a real shiny stage. And at this point, your Dorodango is pretty much done. Now it all seems simple and easy with these steps, but a few secrets can help make your Dorodango easier to create and save you time in the process. Now the first secret we have is when drying overnight, make sure to let your Dorodango rest in a soft place to keep from having a flat spot the next day from sitting on a hard surface. That'll make smoothing out the Dorodango a lot more difficult. You'll probably have to grind it down more than you want to, and there still could be a flat spot when you're done. Now our second secret, keep moving your jar around so it doesn't stay in the same spot. This can cause uneven spots and issues later when polishing, so just make sure to keep movement going all the time and change spots every once in a while. Otherwise the shape will come out weird and you'll have to do even more polishing. Third secret, whenever you go to wet the mouth of your jar, for when you're smoothing the surface of the Dorodango, make sure to add a drop or 2 of oil in order to give it an easier glide when shaping your sphere. Fourth secret, if you have a low spot or a dent in your sphere, gently rub some clay when you are at the coating stage, and then this will help fill in these gaps. That's what this stage is about anyways, but if you put a little extra, it could help smooth that surface. Now this doesn't always work, but it can help. And the fifth secret, coating is very helpful, but doing it too many times can set you back and cost you time. Only do 2 or 3 coats of clay before switching to just water. These clay coats are for helping fill in the spaces and give an initial polish. But the next stages of water are also an important step, and you need to do this without adding more clay. Now when you have finished all of this, if you want to go the extra mile, you can also clean your jar of all dirt and then wet the mouth of the jar with a little bit of oil and repolish the surface with light pressure from your hand to give the Dorodango an extra little bit of shine. Now if you follow all these steps and secrets, you will be able to create your own Dorodango and have the shiniest dirt ball you have ever seen. Now this was my first time doing this, and it was a learning curve, but these are all secrets that I learned along the way and can hopefully make your Dorodango experience enjoyable and a smooth project for you to try with a friend. Now if you learned something or had some fun, I would greatly appreciate any love you can give, whether that's liking the video, sharing the art form with someone you care about, or commenting about your Dorodango experience, or even another side quest for me to embark on. But until next time, make something with your hands, create something beautiful. See ya!